Yeah, I think I said it last week. Like, I mean, I haven't been covering recruiting for that long, but I would say since I've been watching Florida State and covering recruiting, like I haven't really seen anything like this for them, especially on the offensive line. So to get out to such a good start, and especially if you land Daughtry Richardson and Jalen Early, and you're already up to 6 commits on the offensive line, and you're swinging after a big fish like Elijah Pritchard or Julian Armella. I mean, it's just a fantastic head start, and this momentum, Florida State has got to carry it onto the football field and perform. They've got to. That's what's going to be the thing that keeps this class together.
Hey guys, it's Terrence Mann. You're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. Go Noles.
Hey, what's up? This is Peter Ward, aka E-Dub, in the house. We're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. Go live, go Noles.
Hi, this is Charlie Ward, and you're listening to Hear the Spear. Go Noles.
This is Terrell Buckley. You're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. No Bloody.
But perhaps better known as the greatest corner to ever step on a football field, Deion Primetime Sanders.
Great Deion Sanders, my brother.
What's going on, man? I could wake up to that greeting every day, man. That was awesome.
Hello, Noles fans. This is former Seminole Derek Brooks, and you're listening to Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noel Game Day.
James Wilder Jr. What's going on, James?
Thanks for having me on. SSOD, Florida State or Die, and go Noles.
William Bar None Floyd.
Gentlemen, what's up?
What is happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noel Game Day. We are here on this actually nasty Thursday evening. It's not so pretty out in Tallahassee. The power's been flickering, so we'll see how long this podcast and show goes on. It's been lightning all over the place. But we're here. We're here to talk some ball. It is Thursday night with the fellas. This time, Dustin, we have a friend with us. It's good to see Austin Veazey back with us. Back in the closet, though, he goes. But Austin Veazey, our lead basketball writer, is at the bottom. Then our lead writer and editor, D-Lou, is at the top. Gentlemen, happy Thursday. We're keeping the streak alive. How's y'all's week going so far?
Spectacular.
Superb.
I'm so glad you had to lean in that far. Nice and relaxed in your closet there.
We went through this after the show 2 weeks ago. There's no closet that I'm sitting. I can open my closet if you want to see it.
You have two closets. You can.
No.
It's just a setup, I guess. I don't.
It is
setup. No, the setup looks cool though. I mean, he's got shoes all around him. Ballers. I mean, he's got Terrence Mann's jersey up above him. A couple of Hooters tank tops. I mean, it looks great in there. So
it just makes the room look small. So I mean, I can kind of get it, but I made that joke for like 3 or 4 weeks.
I know. I don't give a damn. Anyways, fellas, how was y'all's July 4th? We've got a lot to talk about tonight. Along with that,
probably better than your July 4th.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Real funny. I appreciate it. Yeah, my July 4th wasn't so much. There was a lot of fireworks at the end, but I really wasn't entirely enjoying them. So I had a pretty decent injury to my right knee, and I had to get an MRI this morning. It hurts like hell. It's definitely on the inner side of my kneecap. I'm thinking it's either an MCL or meniscus, or it could be both. I think the ACL is fine.
What is a meniscus?
Meniscus?
You said meniscus.
You did say meniscus.
Well, I was trying to say a lot of things at once. Okay. Anyways, thank you guys for your worrisome too. I never got a call. I only had text back. Austin didn't even text me back. All these injuries, I would have called Austin.
I texted you.
Yeah, Dustin did. Dustin does care sometimes.
Figured the least I could do was respond.
And didn't we text Austin a ton whenever his hip thing was going through? Like we felt bad.
No, probably not.
I was gonna say I don't know. I don't remember. That was like 6 months ago. Actually, 7.
Hold on real quick. Before we go into anything else here, we got Eric Angel with the 20 bomb. Booyah, right off the bat. What's up, fellas? 60 days till Florida State beats Notre Dame. Time to focus on this. Get well, Logan. Let's go, Nose. Hey, I appreciate it, Eric. You've been one of our day one supporters, man, so we definitely appreciate you. jumping in here and showing some love. But yeah, we're gonna be fine. I'm hoping not that. If I do have to get surgery and it goes down, I hope not. Fingers crossed. But you know what? That just means more focus on school, number one, and number two, Florida State's football season. If I can even get into Doak.
So you haven't really went into it, but how did this injury? How did it happen?
I was going down a water slide. It's one of the most disappointing ways to tell anybody. Like if you're gonna tell a chick, hey.
You got to make him a better excuse. You can't say a water slide.
It will set itself. It balances
on the record
itself.
now.
The left ACL was from a football game down in Gainesville. Snapped that one and rode the car ride back from Gainesville home. This is the right knee, and one's got to be a stupid one. This was a stupid one, and it's. I hope it's not the case. I hope it's a really bad sprain. But right now we're not feeling too great. But
this whole podcast, man.
I know. We'll be all right there. I'm hanging out with you guys, so you guys make my day. We really do. Been looking forward to hanging out with you guys all week long. But anyways, let's jump into some good stuff here. Before we start, guys, you can always listen to podcasts on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and YouTube. If you're on YouTube right now, hit that like button. We definitely appreciate it. You can also now throw donations at the bottom. You don't have to, but we definitely appreciate it. And we can bring up your questions right away, too. So definitely appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Getting close to football season, fellas. Like Eric said, 60 days until Florida State kicks off. That means that we're getting close to fall camp, which means the fun is only about to start. Here we go. So starting off recruiting, we'll start off with recruiting, I think, first, Dustin. There's been quite a few new commitments for Florida State, one in the 2022 class, and also one that was inside of the 2024 class with Jordan Pride. You also, your relationship with Drell Powers, the 3-star tight end, committed to Florida State last Friday. You felt very optimistic that he was going to be picking FSU. You had a pretty good conversation with him about his commitment. Tell us a little bit more about him. 6'4", 238 out of Texas.
Yeah, so Drell Powers, he really came onto the scene in March. That's when he picked up the offer from FSU. Chris Thompson offered him, and since then, things have just been building. I think right away, like in April, he went ahead and locked in the official visit for that date in June. I think it was, the 25th to the 27th or whatever. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he showed up for the official visit. He had a really good time, was blown away. What really sold him was just sitting down with talking to the coaching staff. And he also said, walking into Doak Campbell Stadium at night had a big impact on him, seeing where he would play in the future. And then, after that, he told me he committed in person, before he left from the official visit. So the coaching staff already knew that he would be committing. And, from there, he decided to go ahead and make it official last week. And now the focus is going to be on his teammate, Jalen Early, who he's pushing to get him in the class as well.
Yeah, big guy right here. I think lengthy, 6'4", 238 already. Be interested to see how Florida State, and also Mike Norvell, how he likes to work his tight ends, and I still think they're looking at other guys out there. Skinner's very high on their board too, but they're looking at him as more of a hybrid wide receiver / tight end. Powers coming in here as a true tight end. And he picks Florida State over, a few other schools. Did he say which schools were kind of in the hunt right there, like his top 3?
Yeah, his top 4 was FSU, Colorado, I think it was Arkansas, and Oregon State. And he officially visited Colorado and Oregon State as well. But he said the FSU visit took it to another level.
We watched a little bit of tape on him last week, D-Lou.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and I was going to say red zone throw. That's the first thing I think of. I think there's still some things for him to work on, but initial thoughts, looking right at the tape, a red zone threat seems to be one of his top talents.
Yeah, and he's really just growing into his body. About a year ago, he was 170 pounds, and now he's around 230. So he's really got that added weight to be a college tight end going into his senior season. So I think we're going to be able to see, like he told me, he likes to play bully ball. He said defensive backs don't really see a guy with his size out there. So when he's out there, he's going to go right at him. And I think he's going to have a great senior season. So I wouldn't get worried whenever you're looking at his ranking. People are like, he's not as high ranked as some of the other guys in the class, but to me, it's the same thing. We talked about Kanaya Charlton a couple weeks ago. I mean, he just hasn't really been properly evaluated to this point. He was focused on basketball really until last year. His junior season was his first time just locked in on football. And I mean, you can see it paid off. Now he's committed to Florida State. And like I said, I think he's in line to have a good season.
Yeah, this is – oh, my goodness, that tackle scared me there for a second. Goodness gracious, speaking of knees. But, yeah, like you said, growing into his body, still definitely raw. But, Mike Norvell thinks very highly of his tight ends. So he's definitely going to be utilized. But you can see the size difference in this tape here. He's a big cat, kind of tall and lanky. And has some good range on him too. So I think right now, initial thoughts is a red zone kind of guy, and we'll see how he develops. And like you said, most of these guys right now, still, some of them were hindered last year with not being able to, with COVID-19 going on. They were really hindered with not having enough tape out there. Also, along with not having scouts out there and putting in ratings on them and everything, and being able to be fully evaluated. So. There's a lot of things that are going to be going on with these maybe current FSU commits that we'll see more updated recruit rankings on. The next guy that committed to Florida State is a youngin, another youngin. He's gonna join the 2024 class. That's now 3 commits in that class with Jordan Pride. He picks Florida State. Coach Woodson after him. Kind of more set as a safety than anything right now, but Florida State sees something in this young cat. Don't have a huddle film to really work with here, but kind of just, you got to talk with them a little bit, D-Lou?
Yeah, we actually got to speak after he went ahead and committed. And, I mean, I knew of Jordan, I would say before he committed. I just hadn't really got a chance to interview him yet, and I did not know he was going to commit that fast. But he was a guy that made it to FSU, I think it was 4 different times in June for unofficial visits and also some of those camps. So he got a mix of being able to work out in front of the coaching staff and also being able to tour campus and do all the things that go into the visit, the photo shoots and everything. And this is a guy, right down the road from Bluntstown. I mean, that's not really too far from Tallahassee. And he said that his family and him are all really big Florida State fans. And I think it was after one of the camps, he actually picked up the offer from the coaching staff in June. And from there, I mean, it was he told me from there, I mean, it was basically a set decision. He had a couple conversations with his family, and they said they were fine with it, and he went ahead and decided to make it official.
Added to that DB room, and he's so young. I mean, when we talk with Cam Davis, the current said quarterback almost there because he plays in high school, but running back commit primarily. These cats are so young, but it's cool and nice to see some of them committing so early on and kind of understanding that message that Norvell's bringing. It's still so far away, and it's all that, but it's cool to see that message is going all the way, reaching to not just 2023 but 2024. That's a trend that we're seeing a little bit.
And he said the first thing, whenever he called the coaching staff to commit, he let Coach Woodson know. And they got on the phone with Coach Norvell, and the first thing Norvell said to him was, "Are you 100% sure you're committed?" Before he accepted him into the class. And like I said, Pride. He grew up a Florida State fan. He told me he wanted to go ahead and make it official because this is his dream school. And now being a 2024 commit, he's got a lot of time to work with to build that class into something great. And you already have 3 commits, Cam Davis, Landon Thomas, along with Pride. And Florida State, they've actually got the most 2024 commits in the nation. So whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, this coaching staff is focused not only on the present, but on the future. So I think it's an interesting take that we haven't really seen from, the past staffs.
I wanted to bring up a thing here and talk about a quarterback, and you got to spend a lot of time with him, and he was one of your longest interviews we talked about in the production meeting, D-Lou, and that's Chris Parson, there's a lot of people that have some. They think he's got a very bright future, and you also think that too. I know that you've been texting inside of the Discord a lot, talking very highly of him. Mature kid in that 2023 class. He recently visited Florida State. He's kind of got a little. I'm not gonna make any more comparisons because I've been a little too hot on doing that lately. But there's a lot of good things to think about him because he's kind of seems like a Florida State lean, definitely in my opinion. But this is a guy out of Tennessee, and Tennessee is going to be heavily after him too, and would love to pick him out. But he's actually planning on committing on July 22nd, D-Lou. And his top teams, what are his top teams that are in there? Top 8, I think he dropped, right?
Yeah, he released a top 8. I know that FSU, Miami, Tennessee, and Kentucky are in it. I can't remember the other 4 off the top of my head, but
I'll find it.
But yeah, so he released that top 8 with a plan to commit on, I believe it's July 22nd. Like you said, he recently got a chance to come through to FSU, and the first thing that the coaching staff did is they had every single member of the staff out there waiting for Parson and his family whenever they arrived. And, Coach Norvell and Coach Dillingham were really with him throughout the entire trip. And during their meeting, Coach Norvell specifically expressed to Parson that he was their number 1 quarterback target in the 2023 class. So really, it was a great visit for Parson. And this is another guy, I said about pride, but Parson, he also grew up a Florida State fan, and he's actually related to a Seminole legend and a guy that we've had here on the podcast, Logan, and Terrell Buckley, which is something that surprised me. I believe Terrell Buckley is his cousin.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. What were we talking about in the Discord or something? And that was like crazy to think of.
Yeah. Or he's Chris Parsons' dad's cousin, so I don't know if that would make him his cousin as well. I don't know.
I don't know the whole.
I don't know how
that's too much work for you and I, and we're gonna definitely.
Maybe
not
that makes them like second cousins.
You have any take on that, Austin?
I think it's cousin second removed. Something.
Either way, they're somehow related, and through that, a lot of their extended family is Florida State fans. Parsons' family is Florida State fans, and like I said, he grew up a Florida State fan. And after the visit, he named FSU as leader. So going into this announcement, I think the Seminoles have to feel really good about where they stand. And I did an interview with him, and he was very high on FSU. And this is a guy.
He was high.
No.
I was hoping you're all right. Go ahead. Sorry.
But throughout June, I mean, he was all over the country, visiting different places, working out, and I think a lot of schools are going to be after him. Right now, maybe you look at his top 8, you don't have Alabama or Clemson in there, but I think down the line they're definitely going to join this guy's recruitment. He's very talented, and I think he's got a very mature mindset, kind of beyond his years.
It's a throw here on one of the most recent tweets he shared. He said
he's able to move his spring game highlights.
Yeah, let me find that. And what was I going to mention? Oh, he just shared too, if I can get out of this full screen here. He just tweeted 1 minute ago, this commitment video is about to go crazy. Tag the guy that will be filming and editing it. But it seems like he's already working on putting together a commitment video. It depends, will it be Florida State? And it seems like it's leaning that way. I feel like his visit went very well, and we got to see the video of the whole staff greeting him, like you had mentioned before, Dillan. I mean, that's huge. If he's up there as the number 1 target, I mean, Florida State, we've seen it's worked out very well for them in these visits. The true interest, the actual genuine interest in these kids, and being real with them is something that the staff has done a very good job at.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at it now, Florida State has made him a priority. They've told him he's the number 1 quarterback target in the 2023 class that they want. And he's also named FSU's leader. So, like I said before, I think the Seminoles have to feel really good about where they stand right now. Oh, yeah, and he grew up a Florida State fan and is related to a legendary Seminole. So I would say you feel good about where you stand. It would be kind of shocking to me at this point if he did not commit to FSU.
Hopefully this is the right highlights here. I tried to find the quickest one.
This ain't it.
Great. Wonderful.
Like, it's literally titled Spring Game Highlights. I don't know how it's not that hard. Just click on.
How about you do 30,000 things at once, Dustin? How about you do that? But these look pretty dang good to me so far. This is real games. No spring games.
The spring game was a real game.
Nah, call it like a jamboree.
Look at him move in the pocket. Like, the thing to me is he knows how to evade pressure. He can throw on the run. He's got really good footwork for his class.
Yeah, no.
You gotta think, this kid, he was only a sophomore last year, so we're looking at sophomore film going into his junior year.
Looks pretty good as a sophomore. He's got a good ball. He gives a good deep ball too. He can evade the pass rush there. Let's see. You know what? Huddle needs to chill with all the ads, really. We can chill with the ads. Jeez, I'm loading up the spring game highlights as we speak, but we'll watch a few more plays here. Evading. Is that a holding? Your mind? Can I say it's only 2023 guy? I can do it for this. I said Leonard Fournette kind of build for Cam Davis, and he's 2024 guy. This is 2023. Can I have my comparison?
Yeah, what is it?
Justin Fields. All right, not that extreme, but all right.
The thing is, you don't really see him scrambling much on his highlights. Like, you can tell he's got, he's athletic, but he uses that to work in the pocket, move around defenders, and find guys downfield. So that's something I really like. You don't really see him just tucking it and running. He's actually looking to make the play with his arm.
All right, here we go. That's the same one. There we go. It's the same one. Now we go to this one, and we go to the bottom one, because that's the right one. There we go.
Oh, yeah. This is it. Spring game highlights.
We get to see him face his own team in a scrimmage. Nice. Running. Got Dustin Lewis rushing him. Hard play there.
Dustin would have been running that fast.
That was one of my favorite plays right there, because he rolled out of the pocket. He was looking at the receiver on the outside, and then threw it back inside. He faked out the defender.
Yeah. I like this one.
That's a little crafty.
Well, this is what I was saying, Fields right here. I mean,
yeah, we didn't see one of these in the other tape. He can run, like I said, but most of the time he's looking to make the play.
Yeah, he's trying to keep it going, which is nice. Keeping his eyes downfield, and he's got good feet too. So, and that's on July 22nd. Justin Fields. Here I go. Great. I'm just going to ruin it for everybody. Drew just asked, just tuned in. What are you guys talking about? Well, we're talking about what our favorite ice cream is.
2023 quarterback Chris Parson.
We're talking about 2023 quarterback Chris Parsons. He's going to be making his commitment actually on Parsons. Sorry,
no.
Parsons.
No, Parson.
Parson. Dang it, Parson. That's same thing, right?
Cut the S off at the end.
But Chris Parsons making his commitment on July 22nd. So I think Florida State's heavily in the mix there. We'll see if that recruiting video is going to end with the Seminole logo at the Seminole head at the end of the video. We'll see. Who knows? Up next here, there's a lot of recruiting stuff going on. AJ Duffy, how about him showing out at the Elite 11? I mean, seems like Florida State got the good one here. I mean, he was, I think, only through, what did you say, Dillan? One interception, and they're 7-on-7s, and that was just an extra point play, just a little gimme there.
Doesn't really count.
Yeah, it doesn't count, right? But AJ Duffy was absolutely showing out during the Elite 11s. There was a few clips that I have that I can bring up on here, but Florida State seems to have a pretty good cat on their hands. It seems he's more of a quiet guy than anything. Doesn't do a lot of interviews, but he was definitely doing the chop there, and He's been recruiting, he said, continue to help recruit that 2022 class, and Florida State's got a good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he's very talented. He's got the full skill set, and I mean, the thing to me is he's a gamer. You know, you put him in that competitive 7-on-7 scenario, and some guys, you know, they fold. They're better in just the one-on-one drills, but this is a guy you put him out there against another defense. I mean, he just goes to work. I think. I don't know the exact stat numbers, but I'm pretty sure that he had the best 7-on-7 showing out of any of the guys out there, and led his team to the championship. If I'm correct.
Here's a couple of clips of him before the 7-on-7s too. He's got a nice little zip on the ball.
Yeah,
that's something I noticed a couple months ago too before he committed.
Mm-hmm. And the Elite 11 rankings came out. I don't remember if Duffy was in the top 11 or not, and I think some people were worried about his ranking because they were like, he looks so good on 7-on-7. But the thing about the Elite 11 is half of the ranking is based on junior film, and Duffy actually has 0 junior film because his season was canceled due to COVID. So that really impacted his ranking. I think if he would have had junior film, this is a guy you're looking at, you know, top 5, top 3 out of the event.
That's saying something. He's going to be playing some really good competition at IMG this upcoming season too. So that only gives him the kind of advantage of moving up in the rankings if people really care a lot about it. You know, everybody, the Twitter world does for sure, but you know, if you do your own kind of homework on it, all he needs is a mullet, and I think you already move up 5 spots in quarterback rankings, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, based on what we saw this weekend, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if he holds pat with where he stands in the rankings, or even gets bumped up a little bit, because he looked really good out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he impressed a lot. So, good showing from Florida State 2022 quarterback commit AJ Duffy.
Can't say the same for Miami's quarterback commit.
Yeah, what happened to Miami's quarterback commit? How'd he do over there in the Elite 11?
He was not ranked.
Well, that kind of sucks. Well. That does suck.
Makes me feel even worse because he's from Valdosta, which is where I was born, and he plays at Lowndes County. That's where you know, Greg Reed, Telvin Smith.
You didn't turn out to be that way. You just missed it, right? You just missed it.
Well, I only lived there for 2 weeks because I was a baby, but
excuses.
I didn't get the full experience, or else, you know, I would have gone D1.
Nah. Like eating Whataburger.
They don't have that in Valdosta, so damn. I mean, think about it.
Zaxby's, then it's got to be Zaxby's.
Or cookout. Surely they have a cookout there.
I don't think they do.
Disappointing.
They don't have anything. It's kind of a sad city.
That's why you left. Same as you. You're kind of sad, so. No, I know. Well, Dustin, let's keep asking you some recruiting questions here. Since Nate's not here, you're taking the load the last couple of weeks, man. This is tough. I'm sorry for putting you through this. It's okay. But another guy.
Part of the job description, I guess.
That is true. It is true. Another guy here, we'll end it off here with Jalen Early, 2022 offensive tackle. Florida State's been heavily after him. I mean, any FSU fan will tell you that. The guards, yeah, but offensive tackles, gimme. So he's actually narrowed down his list on schools, and he's planning to actually commit on August 2nd. He's got Florida State, Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Texas Tech. He told you most recently that he won't be visiting Penn State, which is a big one there. But it seems like Florida State may be in the running here for an offensive tackle to add into that 2022 class, which would be crazy because right now that offensive line depth, like you're building depth now at this point, but you're also bringing in some really talented cats.
Yeah, like you said, I thought the biggest thing that came out of my interview with him was him telling me that he will not visit Penn State before making a commitment, which a lot of people thought he'd be using. I think it's his 5th and final official visit on Penn State before he committed on August 2nd. And, you know, that means going into the announcement, Florida State, they're going to have had the last official visit. And, I mean, he's the guy I mentioned with Jarrell Powers. They're teammates and Powers has been heavily on him. I've got this quote, if I can find the right article.
I believe in you. Pull up.
But I've got this quote from Powers talking about recruiting Jalen early to join him, and he said, "I do plan on recruiting after I commit. The main person I'm focused on is my teammate Jalen Early. He commits on August 2nd. Just know I'm working on him, so don't be surprised if he becomes a Seminole."
Mm-hmm.
So he's working on him, and whenever I mentioned that to Jalen Early in the interview, I mean, he laughed his head off for a second. He's like, yeah, it's true, but he just thought it was funny. But at this point, I definitely feel like Florida State has the edge. It's going to be huge this month for that communication to continue and just keep working on him to secure that August decision, because he's very talented, and it really helps. I think, like I've already said a couple times, but it really helps having Powers already committed, and they were on the official visit together. They both got to experience FSU for the first time together. I think that kind of relationship pays off in the end.
Absolutely. Coach Atkins and what Norvell is doing, and Thomason's also on him too, correct?
What?
Thomason too, and he's been on a streak too of landing some of his targets. 326.4.
Yeah, Norvell, Coach Atkins, and I believe Chris Thompson, they've all had some contact. I mean, Chris Thompson, you look at Jalen Early as well as Powers, they're both from Texas. That's where Chris Thompson was born. That's where he has a lot of his coaching experience. So he's able to connect with a lot of these guys from that area very well because he's already familiar with it.
Some big-time, gigantic offer list here. Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Oklahoma.
Yeah. This is
Ohio State.
It's a very highly sought-after guy, and really, it seems like the top three are probably FSU, Ohio State, and Texas Tech at this point.
D-Lou, I have a neighbor from back home. Drew Collins says, Dustin, I'm originally from Thomasville, Georgia. That's about 30 minutes west of Valdosta. Hometown of the great Charlie Ward. I always think about Charlie Ward when I'm going through Thomasville.
It's a good city to be from.
Yeah, it is. It's produced some crazy good talent out of there, too.
There's some talent Florida State wants from there right now.
What'd they do? What happened to you?
Well, I'm here. I'm providing my talent for this podcast.
That is right. That is correct. You're spot on.
Florida State couldn't handle it.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, so we'll keep a close eye on this one because that's on August 2nd. So you're looking at Parson. Sorry, I'm not going to say Parsons anymore. Chris Parson on the 22nd, 2023 quarterback. And then you've also got Jalen Early, big-time offensive line potential commit that could be coming in Florida State's favor. So,
and you've also got Daughtry Richardson on, I want to say July 25th, but it could be 26th. It's one or the other. And then also 2022 running back Jalen Glover could commit in that late July, early August timeline as well. So there's some decisions still coming up. We'll see how many go in Florida State's favor.
Mm-hmm. Florida State is currently ranked as the number 5 team in the country per 247 Sports. So still hanging around in that top 10 and still hanging on tight in that top 5, but it could get a little bit better here. Definitely looking at, like you said, look at Richardson, you look at Early, it keeps building that 2022 class. And it's crazy to think that you're going to start looking at the positions, like the position with the most commits, you're looking at the dang offensive line. I can't tell you the last time that's happened. I really can. It's pretty big to see, in my opinion, building those trenches.
Yeah, I think I said it last week. I haven't been covering recruiting for that long, but I would say since I've been watching Florida State and covering recruiting, I haven't really seen anything like this for them, especially on the offensive line. So to get out to such a good start, and especially if you land Daughtry Richardson and Jalen Early and you're already up to 6 commits on the offensive line and you're swinging after a big fish like Elijah Pritchard or Julian Armella, it's just a fantastic head start. And, this momentum Florida State has got to carry it onto the football field and perform. They've got to. That's what's going to be the thing that keeps this class together.
Mm-hmm. Yep, going into the start of the season, and the biggest thing is you can't look sad against Wake Forest, in my opinion. You can't look sad against, worse talent. That's something that Florida State has just been lacking in these games, is looking just ridiculous, not looking prepared, not being able to stay in games, not being able to look competitive, looking really disappointing in the trenches. That's the sad thing about it. You never think about Florida State and looking pretty sad, definitely on the defensive line, but that's been something that has been a consistent basis in the last couple of years, and that's something the staff is trying to do and fix, and Coach Atkins doesn't want that. Odell has been there and seen it go up, and down. He's seen it at the highest. He's seen it at the lowest. Even from his personal days playing at Florida State, he just knows how that's ran up there in the trenches. And Mike Norvell is, after this, and it goes to show someone that, immediately is trying to build depth in places of need, and you got to have it. And it's not even depth at this point. It's not just like players just to get them in, and even if their stars are great or anything, but it's building some really talented guys, some guys that they did their homework on, and is good for the locker room. And it's going to help also recruit, because you see a lot of these guys that committed to Florida State, they're also helping out with the staff recruiting, coming in on these visits while they're already committed, and sitting down and hanging out with these guys and spending the whole weekend there. If you think about Travis Hunter, this cat's there for almost a week, 2 weeks sometimes. So it's good. It's good momentum that Florida State is continuing to have. It's not just like momentum they had last month. It's heading into July, which I think is a interesting thing, and it's a good thing to look at for the Seminoles.
Real quick on the offensive line thing, like just how many commits they have right now. I was thinking about the 2011 class, Los's class, and that was another huge offensive line class. I mean, you had Bobby Hart, Jordan Presswood, who I don't think ever played for us, but Farrenkrug, Jose Matias, Newberry, who ended up switching sides. Some guys further down the list, Reuben Carter, Lovelady, Austin Barron. I mean, I think they took 9 offensive line commits, but it shored up the offensive line for the next 3 years. I mean, when you talk about Matias, Bobby Hart, etc. Hopefully it has the same impact going forward, because we've been talking about it for the last decade. Florida State's offensive line has been terrible.
Yeah, I think they would take 7 max. There's no way they're getting up to 9. That would be crazy.
Who knows? Could shock you, D-Lo. It's crazy. We look back at it and see how just god awful Florida State's offensive line play has been, and some of it starts with the Jimbo and Trickett, and then it trickles down to what when Jimbo's leaving. You ruin those relationships that for offensive line guys that you got to kind of build it. There's some big boys. You got to build those relationships in order to keep them. Jimbo dips, you got Willie coming in, you got Clements. That just doesn't seem like it's working out too well. Just having players in there that shouldn't have been playing snaps whatsoever, and there wasn't even any progress happening. Like that whole kind of last little stint of Jimbo, and then you've got Willie coming in and just degraded it. And that's the number one thing that ESPN and College Game Day will talk about. That's all Herb Street's going to say, because he hasn't really watched FSU a ton since they've been down. But he's just going to say, well, she's not wrong, but the offensive line is horrid, and the play's been horrid, and you just got to hope. There was progression, I think, last year, but you're also working with a quarterback that was running quite a bit. He was kind of immediately trying to evade pressure in some times of games, and some, that was a terrible way to say it, in some parts of the games. But that's why that offensive line might have looked a little bit better, but.
Well, I mean, you got to think, like, this is the first time in a long time that Florida State has went into the offseason with the same offensive line coach. Could you think? I mean, in 2017, you had Rick Trickett. 2018, you had Greg Fry. 2019, you had Clements. And then last year, you had Atkins. This is the first time since, 2017 that you're actually having that stability at this position, and you're going to have the same guy 2 years in a row. So that can only help pay off. You're not just churning through a different guy every year.
Yeah, and that like you mentioned though, D'Lo, it also recruiting wise, I mean that's going to be huge success, because Atkins is really one of his best tactics is working relationships and being genuine. We've talked about it a ton on this podcast, and being real with you and saying that effing blew. I need you to do better. Or even if you're down and hurt, maybe he'll still give you, hey, you shouldn't have done that. But he's a real guy. I wish someday we could kind of share that story, but he's not only even as a recruit, but once you get on campus, and he's gonna keep it real with you, and that's exactly what these cats want. That's what they want. Hopefully, we're getting over the age of where you have to be sweet to them all the time. I hate that. I hate that in football. This is a sport. This is not tennis. This isn't racquetball. This isn't. I'm not going to say anything else, or I'll get canceled. This isn't soccer or whatever you want to call it. This is football. You're supposed to be mean, definitely for big boys up front. You need to get cussed out. You need to man up and get your stuff straight. And that's what this offensive line deserves right now. We got to get the act together. Let's see here. On to the next topic here. Speaking about offensive line cat. Well, first of all, before we jump out of recruiting real quick, Travis Hunter. I mean, can I just go ahead and share some highlights with you guys? He was at a 7-on-7 tournament. He was actually playing for Cam Newton's 7-on-7 team this past weekend. He was in the AT&T Stadium, just showing out. But he just continuously has highlights that I get to share on our Instagram all the time.
I believe he was playing with Jaleel Skinner.
I think he's been playing the last couple of weeks. I think they've been on the same team for a while now, because people have been telling me it's not really even fair.
They've got a really good relationship.
So here he is, and give me the ball right over your head. I think there's another clip somewhere. I don't know if I'll be able to find it in time, but he absolutely just mosses the kid in the corner of the end zone, and the kid kind of tries to come back and talk to him. He might have told him to shut the up. And this is good competition, people. I mean, you don't just go to all these tournaments like this.
Well, you don't just get to play in the Dallas Cowboys stadium.
That's what I'm saying. You're not just in this dome right here, this gigantic spaceship, been there before, and it's absolutely massive. But still, going on to the play here, though, I mean, I would say it gets old seeing this kind of stuff, because it's just every weekend we get new highlights, but that's just not the case. It gets better every single time. I mean,
yeah, I feel like he does it so often that we almost are starting to take it for granted.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping we don't do.
Expecting him to do something spectacular.
This one's nasty right here. Hold up. This one's nasty. What? This is so unfair. This is so unfair. Watch him kind of just mess around. Hey, watch this. What? the leg behind the leg, and makes the kid miss on the tag. I love when he brings. So he's got a stuffed animal that he brings to these. So if no one's seen it yet, he's got a stuffed animal that he brings with him to these tournaments. We'll see if he brings them to games or not. But he does. Here we go. This is a kid getting mossed right here. So here's the question I want to ask both of y'all, because eventually this kid is going to be on campus in Florida State, and fans are going to be going crazy. Right now, do you play him at wide receiver or DB? And if you could only pick one, he's probably, in my opinion, he's going to play both at some point, which depends on how the staff is going to work with them, what they feel best. But right now, it's tough, looking at this picture, of course. But right now, where do you put Travis Hunter?
I would put him at receiver, just because there's less talent in that room right now, especially less proven talent. At least with the DBs, you've got Travis J, Jamie Robinson, so on and so forth. You've got a long list of guys that are wide receiver, waiting for someone to step up. If he was coming in this year, I'd put him in a receiver. When he comes in a couple years, who knows? I think he's gonna have a Hall of Fame career as a corner, like Nate says. But if he was coming in this season, I'd put him at receiver.
Okay.
That's a good point.
It's a tough question, D-Lou.
I'd probably just go with defensive back because, I mean, you're going to get a guy who can go up like a wide receiver, but as a DB. And then, I mean, he can do everything that you need an elite college defensive back to do. And, I mean, you already said it, Logan, but, I mean, this is a guy – he's probably going to start at corner, and then he's going to get snaps at wide receiver and be able to contribute on offense. And, it's everything that we're seeing is leading up to him, probably having a knockout college career. I don't want to say it's a slam dunk, but, I mean, he does some crazy stuff.
Look at this. Have you seen him dancing right here? Wait a second. Here you go. You'll like it. A little bit of little Michael Jackson. Come on, man. You know that little Michael Jackson?
He's going to be a guy that's going to take huge advantage of the NIL stuff too.
Oh my God. Yeah. No.
When he gets to college, he's going to have his own brand. Yeah, he's going. If they get to the point where they can sell jerseys, his is going to fly. Because he's just that name. He's just that guy.
Yeah.
That he's going to really take advantage of that stuff.
He's created a whole trend for a lot of the guys doing recruiting visits across the country and them doing this same pose called the Trav. It's awesome. It's just a generational talent. I'm like looking back, you look back at Derwin James, you look at it a little bit with Jalen Ramsey. This guy's on a different level. It's obvious he's on a different level. It's just consistency. If there's pads on, if there's not pads on, what kind of competition he's facing. It doesn't really matter about who it is. He's going to dominate you. He likes to talk trash. He likes to have a good time. He has a stuffed animal that he brings to his games. And you would think, this kid's got a friggin' stuffed animal. I'm going to work him all day long. No, it's going to be the complete opposite. And he's probably going to score 3 touchdowns on you or pick you off. I mean, it's fun, and you like seeing this kind of energy. It kind of brings back that FSU swag kind of mentality. Bring back those vibes. I mean, here he is with pads on, just looking back at everybody. Yeah. So
I mean, he's a flashy guy, but he backs it up. So can't really say much about it. It's not like Juju.
Juju.
Oh.
Whoa. What you talking about?
All those TikTok dances.
He's in the NFL.
Dancing on people's logos and getting his head ripped off. I mean.
Yeah, I wish.
I'm saying though, Travis Hunter, he backs it up.
There we go. We got to get the name of this.
We need to get that stuffed animal on the pod.
And then maybe we'll get then we get our interview, as long as we get the stuffed animal on. But other than that, little Travis Hunter talk, always good to do without Nate here. He just salivates at Travis Hunter. He's never here to talk about him, so oh well. There's a question on here, D-Lou. We talked about it a while back, but Kamari Wilson, 2022 5-star safety from IMG, most recently put FSU in his top list. Seems like it's a Georgia bound. You can just kind of quickly answer this again, but it doesn't seem like Florida State right now is going to have anything to do with this if Florida State goes on a crazy run this upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean, he visited FSU, and the coaching staff is doing what they can to make themselves a player in his recruitment, but I really think that he's just fallen in love with Georgia, and I would say right now that's where he's going to end up. Nothing is ever a done deal, and maybe Florida State can somehow flip the tide of this recruitment, but with where it's at right now, I don't see it happening.
Another question here from our guy Mendoza, always in here. Appreciate him. What can y'all tell me about Anthony Lucas and Daniel Martin?
So Lucas is the DT out of Arizona, and he was on campus last month as well for an unofficial visit. And I don't know if he has a decision timeline that has come out yet, but I believe he's a guy that's going to wait until later down the line. So this is really just one where you want to see Florida State hopefully somehow get him in for an official visit or another unofficial during the fall to check out a game. And it's the same thing with Daniel Martin. Right now, it kind of feels like this is between Florida State and Vanderbilt, and he went through with his Vanderbilt official visit and didn't end up committing. So I would say I like where FSU is right now, and he's another guy. I mean, you've got to get him back on campus for the fall. I think getting these guys in for that Notre Dame game, and hopefully you blow it out of the park. That's where you're going to build a ton of recruiting momentum.
Got another question here. We're just rocking right now from a guy, Zach P. Earl Little Jr. most recently visited Florida State last month. I think this one's definitely SEC more than anything for him, but that's another talented cat. And, I think maybe more warm to Alabama than anything. But could Florida State have a chance here? He's a 6 foot 175 out of the 2022 class down in Fort Lauderdale. I still think he's an Alabama guy than anything SEC. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, he's a He's a Miami legacy, but I don't even think the Canes are really a big player in his recruitment. Like you said, Logan, I think he's an Alabama lean right now, but he was on campus last month. It seems like he's connected with the coaching staff. He feels comfortable with where he would stand in Florida State's defensive scheme if he did pick FSU. And a big thing to me, it seemed like his dad really has connected with the coaching staff and really likes Florida State. So we'll see if that's something that can help maybe push things in FSU's favor a little bit. But right now, I think Earl Little Jr., he wants to go to Bama. Maybe Senior likes FSU, but, we'll see. He's got his official visit in the fall.
Gotcha. Okay. Eric Angel. Our guy Eric Angel said, Travis Hunter's no joke, best since Deion Sanders, Derwin James, and Jalen Ramsey. I'm right there with you. I completely agree. Like you said, he hasn't even touched foot yet on Bobby Bowden Field. Hasn't played a college snap yet, but, there's going to be so much hype whenever he arrives in Tallahassee. Let's move on a little bit here into the rest of the docket. We've got a little bit more on the NIL. So, first of all, let me show one thing. So, most recent offensive line, not commit, but transfer that picked Florida State from Notre Dame, Dillan Gibbons. I want to share a video on him. So, over July 4th weekend, came across a video of this man actually.
Hey, I sent it to you.
Yeah. Dustin threw me a video of Dillan Gibbons actually towing, practically, he was towing a boat across the lake, swimming over to land, helping a guy out because I guess the motor broke. And can you say like some summer conditioning maybe? Coach Storms is having these guys do some extra work. Is Coach Storms behind them over there getting them ready for September 5th?
I'm just like, who has the confidence? This guy's like, yeah, my boat broke down. Who has the confidence to say, okay, wrap a chain around my neck, I'll drag it across the lake?
I don't know. Desperate times for desperate measures. Maybe it's getting dark there. The video looks like it's maybe getting to evening time.
I'd call a mechanic for the guy. There's no way I'd be doing this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you're also not as strong as Dillan Gibbons.
Yeah.
You're weak. That's what I'm saying.
No rebuttal.
No rebuttal there. I love the comment here from Kenny Joyce on Instagram. That boy is training for a triathlon. Dustin, this is what you need to do. We need to get you out here just towing boats.
Dude, there's no way you're getting me in a lake. I don't want an alligator to bite my leg off.
An alligator?
I don't like going into bodies of water. I'll go to a pool, but you ain't sticking me in like a lake where I can't see the bottom or the ocean or something. I'm chilling.
I wanted to also share, too, one of the things that Dillan Gibbons is actually doing with his NIL started immediately, and I thought it was really unique for him. So he started a GoFundMe for one of his friends back at Notre Dame. He was a big fan of Dillan there and supported him, and those two ended up becoming almost like best friends, and they've stayed in contact since he's arrived here in Tallahassee. Timothy is his name. And he was born with a condition called vascular Vactorel. Hopefully I didn't mess it up. I'm terrible with saying names, but Vactorel. And he was actually not expected to survive. And so later on, he was actually diagnosed with Charcot-Marie-Tooth. It's an incurable disease that affects the nerves in his hands and feet. So Dillan really wants him to come to the opening season game. I believe Timothy's a big Notre Dame fan, obviously, with Dillan playing there, but he still wants to see that game in person. He wants him to come there and spend time with him. And he immediately, the first day of the NIL, opened up a GoFundMe, which I'll share on the screen. And I thought this was a really cool thing on Gibbons' part. And I believe the goal, me and Dustin were talking about this, I believe the goal at first, I think was 30 grand.
Yeah.
I think it was around there, if not even lower. But the most impressive thing, it doesn't really matter now. I mean, Dillan has been able to raise $45,000. And the goal has now been moved to $75,000. This is absolutely awesome to see the advantage. This is one of the cool things about NIL that players like this can take advantage of. Whenever Janarius Robinson, that had to be approved through the NCAA, and I'm sure there was a lot of discussions and trying to figure out how that was going to work. And finally Janarius Robinson was able to start a GoFundMe to help out his mom, and Florida State and other schools and other fan bases helped J-Rob out a lot, and his family. But in this certain situation right here, I thought this was a really cool move by Gibbons, and shows what a great guy he is, and that's what not only just for football, but a guy that you're going to have in the locker room like this is awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it last week whenever we were first discussing all of the NIL stuff, and we were saying we don't really know what exactly guys are going to do, or how unique it's going to be. And this is it's a really awesome way to be able to use those new rights that the players have. And I think it's a great cause, and a lot of people have gotten behind it. Obviously Dillan has gotten a lot of I don't want to say publicity, but he's gotten a lot of recognition in the media. I think he's going to be going on like Mike, I don't know how you say it, Mike
Golick, ESPN Radio.
Yeah, he's going on his show, and it's good to see this story being shared.
Mm-hmm. I think it's such a class act, and it's good to see this guy right here representing Florida State, and I can't wait to have actually Timothy be able to come to Tallahassee. He's going to be inside Doak Campbell Stadium. They've reached the goal, and they're raising even more to help him out. But to have him come and be inside the stadium and be there for September for the Sunday night game, loud as it's going to be craziness there for him, and he gets to come enjoy it and watch his favorite player. I think it's just so awesome to see. That's a college game day piece right there. I mean, right there. Please give it to me. I want to cry.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, they've already, I believe, hit their goal for the travel and everything to the game, and now the rest of the funds that are being raised will just go to helping pay for Timothy's medical bills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that should help, some of the financial burden that maybe the family has.
Yeah, and it seemed like
a really awesome cause.
Yeah, and it seemed like Florida State fans, they always do a fantastic job when it comes to things like this. But it was cool to see the Notre Dame family come in here, and both fan bases work on something like this. And I can't wait. I'm looking forward to having him come in town and enjoy the weekend in Tallahassee and enjoy. It's gonna be a good time. So really cool story there for Gibbons and Timothy. I think we're kind of nearing the end here. We've got some basketball stuff. We got VZ back with us. We didn't get to talk a lot of basketball last week, not a ton. But right now, I just saw a clip earlier of Patrick Williams, our guy Pat, Hear the Spear alum. He was out there working out and having some practice with the USA team, getting ready for the Olympics.
Yeah, he's part of USA Select Team, which for those that don't know, it's like Team USA will bring a whole bunch of young guys in to practice against the main USA squad. Get some reps, get some practice. There's clips of Kyrie torching people as a part of the USA Select Team when he was a rookie. And now Pat's getting this experience. It's going to be huge for him. Going against, Bradley Beal, Jason Tatum, all these guys day after day. It's only going to make him get better. and you can already tell there's a lot of support for him around the league. Guys really like his game, really like his work ethic. It's only going to be a good experience for him, especially being around Popovich for a few weeks. It's going to be such a great experience for him.
Absolutely. He gets to be around all those greats, the current greats right now. Man. And plus, he comes off he's young right now, but his maturity level is on a different level. And him being able to be around those guys right there is huge.
And speaking of the NIL stuff, Matthew Cleveland just launched a clothing brand today. That's on his Instagram if you want to pull that up real quick.
Yeah.
Just another one of these things where guys are taking advantage of their name, really trying to make the most of it. It wouldn't surprise me at all if there's a couple more guys on the basketball team that follow this line, launch a few clothing items, make a little bit of money off of it. Dwayne Bacon would have killed the NIL stuff.
Oh my god! Nah.
I mean, not just because of his name, but he's a fashion guy anyways.
Yeah.
Phil Kofor too. A lot of these guys in the past are like, man, I wish this was around 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think we actually talked about Cleveland last week a little bit because I think the first day of the NIL stuff, he announced that he was going to be doing like a blog and something.
Yeah, with stock risers.
Yeah.
And then I think Cam Fletcher's doing it too, doing the stock risers posts. Which, I mean, go ahead, do a little blog, get a little bit of money for it. Yeah, here's Cleveland's brand right here. Just basic stuff, sweatshorts, tanks, tees. Nothing crazy, but I mean, go get your bread.
Yeah, get the bread. I like it. Use a little garnet and gold here, baby. He says, I'm very happy to announce my official brand and apparel is now live. Link in bio. Boosted Biz, plus people he worked with, partners, have changed the game for college and pro athletes to monetize their likeness. Shout out to the team for making it all happen. Go support, link in bio. So, yeah, we got some shorts, some tanks. Cool stuff here.
And for these basketball guys, it's a lot easier for them to do this NIL stuff because their faces, like, they're not covering their heads with helmets during the game. So you get to see them while they're playing and see them making these plays. Then they go on social media, it's the same guy supporting their own brands. It's not like with football where you just see a number. Being able to put a face with these brands, these sponsorships, however you want to put it, it's only that much easier for these basketball guys to make money off of it.
Yeah, and I can't wait. There's going to be so many different creative ways that not just basketball players, but athletes across the country are going to be making money now. You know, we see influencers do brand deals and such, but I'm wondering too, this is just a random thought, but how does it work? Let's say if a betting site, a sportsbook, wants to connect with an athlete.
Well, I think that's
I wonder how that
stuff.
works.
I don't think they can. I think gambling was one of the things that was off limits.
And that, I guess that's kind of like the NFL, you know, you can't do that. Yeah, I guess I'd be against it. I don't know, that whole kind of stuff. I would hate to have that job, having to figure all that kind of stuff and
there's still
intertwine all the rules.
Yeah, there's still a lot they got to get figured out because they rushed into this process so fast. I mean, it literally went from, it's just going to be Florida and a couple of other states to, the entire country has access to this in about a week.
Yeah, I agree. It was really quick.
There's a lot they got to get figured out. Like I mentioned the jersey things earlier. There's got to be a way for these players to, if the school wants to put out 10, 15 jerseys for football, let's say, put the kid's name on the back, are they going to be able to do that? How much money is the kid's going to be able to make? How much does Nike or Adidas get? That's all stuff they got to get figured out at some point. I mean, because that's one thing people want is they want to be able to rep their favorite player. Like we mentioned with Travis Hunter, how many people in a few years are going to want to rock a Travis Hunter jersey?
A lot of. I think they would rock them right now. They'd start rocking them. If you could get it going right now, they would. Just already a household name, and that crazy thing already a household name. But Derwin James was kind of that way. Ton of hype. They couldn't wait to see him get out on the field because he looked already like he was built 2 years into college. But Travis it's crazy to think he's just on a different level than him. So
Nate would buy his whole family Travis Hunter jerseys right now.
Yeah.
Did you guys get a chance to talk about last week's visits for basketball?
No, we didn't.
I don't think so.
With Dillan Mitchell and Julian Phillips?
No, give us some updates there because the Discord's been popping now, and there's been some visits going on and a 5-star.
Yeah, Dylan Mitchell's a top 30 kid from Spring Hill, Florida, something like that. It's 3 hours south. It's a Florida kid. He just announced today he's transferring to Montverde. He was on campus last week. It apparently went great. The entire family loved the visit. Really, at this point, it's Florida State and Tennessee in this recruitment. I wouldn't be surprised if he announces in the next month or so. And it wouldn't shock me at all if it's Florida State. Apparently, his mom has Florida State football season tickets. If you look at the pages Dylan Mitchell follows on Instagram, there's so many Florida State fan pages that he follows. It would not surprise me at all if he ends up a part of this class. I just put in a prediction for 5-star Jason Gortman out of South Carolina, top 10 kid. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's looking really good on that front. He's not your typical Florida State guy. You know, he's only 6'1". It'll be the shortest scholarship if he were to come. He'd be the shortest scholarship player on the team since David Nichols, and the shortest freshman we recruited since C.J. Walker, which was 7 years ago. It's been a minute. Really talented, really athletic. He's so bouncy for someone 6'1", and he's close with Julian Phillips, who was just on campus last week, another South Carolina kid. He did an interview with 24/7, I believe, saying visit went great. You know, Florida State's been able to get some names on campus recently. I know it's not transfers that everyone's wanting. It's not the Kofi Coburns or Musa Chises or whoever, but they're bringing some talent in this 2022 class. I mean, you talk about Jason Gorman, top 15. Jason Gorman, top 15. Julian Phillips, top 50. Dylan Mitchell, top 30. I think Mitchell ends up being a 5-star before it's all said and done because he's been killing it on the circuit this summer. He just killed Mikey Williams' team by, I think, 30.
Woo.
He's really hooping this summer. You land Gorman, you land Mitchell. Both of them should be announcing hopefully in the next month or so. You're looking really good for 2022. I know Dariq Whitehead is probably leaning towards Duke now, but if you make up for it with Gorman and Mitchell, you're not hanging your head at all.
I was just thinking this for a guy that not is so in depth with basketball recruiting, but what is something like, what are the camps that a lot of these guys go to? Because for me, I think about, obviously, for quarterbacks, I think Elite 11, then you got the opening. You've also got all these rivals, the 247 camps. But what is something on the basketball side of things where these guys go get their scouting on and everything?
With basketball, it's all AAU. I mean, they're going to EYBL circuits, and Adidas has their own stuff. They're just doing these certain tournaments, and whether it's Miami, Atlanta, Indianapolis, wherever. And that's where all the scouts are going to be. If you're not on one of these teams getting recognized, you're not going to get those big rankings. And that's big for these guys. They do this AAU stuff, and that's really where they blow up because that's where you see the tapes come from. That's where you see, Overtime will post stuff. That's where they'll blow up. It's not like with football where, they have these 7-on-7 things. They're out there playing real basketball.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Thank you. So Florida State 2022, Leonard Hamilton.
They're working. They're trying to work.
Hey, well, they've been doing a good job. Let's not give them.
For sure.
They've been doing this thing for the last couple of years. It's just that football is trying to catch up a little bit, and they're doing a good job. But it's fun to see both places.
People are quick to forget they're the number 2 class for 2021.
Yeah,
between Cleveland, Worley, all these guys, and 2022 is not going to be far behind.
Yeah, how is any updates or anything that you've heard on Worley and also Cleveland and also the other guys in that class, Butler too? Because we've seen a couple of pictures of them the last couple of weeks practicing a little bit.
Right now they're just going through summer workouts, so they're really only practicing about 2 hours a week. So right now they're just getting the basic fundamentals of Florida State's offense, where they're going to be shooting from, whether it's the corner on the wing, where to drive in the offense, how to run the pick and roll in Florida State's offense. They're learning these certain things right now. That's what summer's about, learning the basics of the defense, what Coach Jones will call the shell of the defense. That's what they're working on right now. It's not going to be anything too crazy. Obviously, it's going to be all high praise for right now, but once they get to fall and fall camp starts picking up, you'll hear a lot more stuff about these guys.
Absolutely. I want to bring up something here before we get off that I thought was really interesting. Our Instagram was discussing it quite a bit over the last 24 hours. If this will come up. Oh, here we go. But this was a pretty interesting list I saw. Well, that's not it. That's not it. Hold up. But there was a list from CBS that ranked Mike Norvell. So this was a 2021 ACC coach rankings heading into the season, and it had Florida State's Mike Norvell at number 10, behind Manny Diaz, Pat Narduzzi, Cutcliffe, Clausen from Wake Forest, Bronco Mendenhall from Virginia, Mac Brown from UNC, and Dabo Swinney. Jeff Halfley from Boston College also ahead of Mike Norvell, and Dave Doran, who's a complete you-know-what, anyways. But
Who wrote it?
I don't have the name, but it's from CBS Sports. I'm trying to bring it up here on the screen so you can kind of really get a feel for what I'm talking about. Here you go. So this was a ranking on CBS Sports. And obviously you got Dabo Swinney at number 1, Mike Norvell all the way down here at number 10. So I'm wondering, are they just depicting this from last season and how that went? You know,
here's the thing. Florida State hasn't done anything with Norvell yet. They've had 1 year and they were 3-6. If you take it off that 1 year, yeah, Norvell's the 10th best coach in the conference. We would all take him a lot ahead of a lot of these guys. But when you don't have one thing to prove it off of, it's not that disrespectful. It's kind of, but not that disrespectful.
David Cutcliffe won 1 game last year.
And he lost to Mike Norvell.
But he also has how many years ahead of him of proven track record?
Well, so then if it's that case, then you look back at Memphis. Then that's what I'm saying. You look back at Memphis.
I'm saying at that school. He's had some success at Duke. Not a ton, but more than any other coach has since Spurrier.
Yeah, I think it's way off, though. I think if you're thinking, I just need to have an explanation. If we're talking about at that certain school, then maybe so. But if I'm thinking about ranking coaches, and I think about their as a whole tenure as being a head coach, in my opinion, not just maybe at a school. I just thought.
I think people like attention.
Yes,
I think my mic is about to fall off the desk.
We can hear it. We can hear it definitely doing something. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting. It's definitely got to be just from how they've done so far and how their whole tenure at these schools. That's got to be what it is. If it's like their whole coaching career, then I definitely have a problem with it because Mike Norvell shouldn't be that low whatsoever.
It also shows you how bad the conference has been the last 10 years if Dave Clawson is 4th.
Yeah.
And Bronco Mendenhall is 3rd when they've had a good season and a half.
Yeah, I was about to say they had that, and then that kind of fell off after they lost. I forget his dadgum name, but quarterback. That was.
I know who you're talking about. Like they had a couple guys between Andrew Brown at D line and what was that safety's name? They had Bryce Hall. They had a couple good guys.
Yeah. What up, my boy Duran? What's up, man? Appreciate you watching in. But just thought that was pretty interesting to kind of end this off. There's a few questions on here that I want to get to whenever we get a little bit closer, Eric. When we get closer to football season, because we're going to be giving a full preview on a lot of these things with position groups. We've got a lot to go through the next couple of weeks. Now we're kind of getting to the weeks part before we start previewing some games and even these position groups. Who's going to be starting at quarterback? What does your starting wide receiver unit look like? Who's starting at DB? Who's your 2 starting corners? The D-line unit. There's so much stuff we're about to be jumping into, so I want to wait until we get into that and save that for a couple episodes ahead. But gentlemen, is there anything else that you guys want to bring up or talk about? I think that's practically it.
Yeah, someone asked earlier if any of us will be at the FSU Wake Forest game this fall. I will be. I don't know if either of these 2 guys will be, but I live 30 minutes from Wake Forest, so I will be there.
I don't know if I'll be making it there. I got to see if I have 2 legs.
Me and Logan are going to the Boston College game.
We are?
Thanks for the invite.
I just got told this, so
I'd love to go to a Boston College game.
They are fun.
Fly up there. It's for my bachelor party.
Just sell a couple more shoes.
When is it?
November 23rd, maybe. I don't know.
Are you flicking that mic thing over there? Because we're hearing like a.
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry.
You're pulling a Nate.
I could do that and then fly to Indianapolis. Oh no, that's the next week. I'm about to say go to FSU Purdue basketball game the next week, but it's too far.
You're just going crazy now.
I am. I really am. I'll be in Atlanta early that month for a concert.
Just getting crazy on us now, man.
Yeah, this fall's gonna be fun.
It is. We're back to normal. That's the biggest thing. Back to normal. Thank God. Woo, thank God. But yeah, definitely appreciate everyone that's listening to us. We really, really do. And we thank you guys a ton. It's crazy to think that y'all listen to us, and definitely for this long, for about an hour and a half. But really thankful for you guys. As always, you can listen to this podcast and show on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and YouTube. If you're on YouTube, definitely appreciate if you hit that subscribe button and hit that like button on the video below. We'll be back here on Thursday night, hoping to have some guests start kind of trickling in here once we get closer to football season. But we're going to try to get a guest lineup to get you guys prepared for the football and NFL, and maybe to get some NBA guys in here. You never know. I'm trying to think ahead a little bit, but think highly. I'd love to have Terrence Mann back on, or Pat, to talk about. Pat would be really cool. Both of them I'd kill to have back on. What can I say? But after a phenomenal season from Mann, and then you've also got Patrick Williams also having a really good season too as a rookie, and then he's now working out with the Olympic squad. So got some cool stuff that we're gonna start working on to bring in onto the show. But yeah, everybody enjoy the rest of y'all's week. Enjoy the weekend, and we will talk to you guys next week on Hear the Spear. Peace.